The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Hi, thank you for joining us on Farm Connections. I'm Dan Hoffman, and I'm very pleased to introduce our guest tonight. On my far right, Shelley DePestel from Lewiston, dairy milk producer from that area. John Zimmerman from the Northfield area, turkey, corn, soybeans. Correct. And Tim Alcorn from Minnesota Ag Rural Leadership. He's our executive director. And tonight's show is all about MARL, Minnesota Ag Rural Leadership. And we're very, very happy to have our guests tonight. Thank you for joining us. And we want to start off with you, Tim. Can you tell us what is MARL?
Well, thanks for having us, Dan. And MARL, what it is, it's, as you said, Minnesota Agriculture and Rural Leadership Program. It's a personal development program that's designed for adult ag and rural leaders. And we have participants from all across the state. And what we try to do is help them become better at the leadership roles that they're already playing and hopefully develop their skills so they can ascend to leadership roles that they aspire to in the future a little bit more quickly.
Excellent. And if I understand it right, you have classes.
Yep. We run on a 2-year cycle, actually 18 months, and the class will crank up again. We're halfway through our current cycle, so we run over a 2-year period, and November through the winter months. November, December, January, and February are primarily our months of activity, and March. And we do a series of seminars in the state of Minnesota, and then also a national study tour where we spend 2 weeks or a week in Washington, D.C., and an international study tour where we spend 2 weeks abroad. And so it's a variety of those seminars. Those in-state seminars are about 3 days long. So we'll begin two days on the clock and 3 days on the calendar. Run about noon on Wednesday through noon on Friday for those in-state seminars.
Sounds busy.
It's a good. It's a commitment. You know, the people that we have as participants in the program are active and engaged, very busy people. And what we do with the program is give them an experience that fits well with that group, because the classes are approximately 30 members in size, and 2/3 of those are agricultural producers, and then the other third are agribusiness people, educators, and other rural leaders. But because of that makeup, we run on that winter cycle, and they're still busy, so we try to make it well worth their time and get a lot done in the time that we have together.
Well, excellent. From what I've heard, it is very valuable and it is worth it. And John, what's your position with MARL? What have you done with MARL, and what are you doing now with MARL?
Well, I was in Class 3. We're currently in Class 5, and now I'm currently the Alumni Association president, and I also sit on the MARL board.
What does the MARL board and Alumni board do?
The MARL board, of course, is responsible for directing Tim and the long-range vision for the MARL program. The Alumni Association is the group of alumni trying to keep us connected with the program and with each other, and hopefully providing avenues for further leadership and further learning after you're done with the program.
Excellent. And Shelley, you're the active Class 5 person at the table. No one else is in the class right now, so you're our expert about Class 5. What's happening in Class 5, and what do you hope to get out of it?
It's really good. Currently about halfway done through our program. Very much looking forward to our international trip. We will be headed to Cuba for our international trip for 14 days and learn all about agriculture in Cuba, what they're doing, what we can do trade-wise with Cuba, anything we can do to promote our ag industry that we each represent, and then use those skills that we've learned meeting with people from Cuba, bring them home and use them back here in Minnesota.
Well, it must be working because I think we all noted that Congressman Tim Walz was at your farm recently. Did you use your MARL skills in telling about agriculture and helping him understand?
Yes, we hosted Tim Walz. Minnesota Milk sponsored a Congressman on the Farm Day, and so we had dairy producers from southeastern Minnesota all come to the farm and talked with Congressman Walz regarding the dairy industry these days, the pitfalls that we've all been seeing, and where it's headed, and you know, how he can possibly do some things to alleviate some of the stresses that we're all feeling these days. But yeah, also MARL has given me a ton of skills to address media, you know, those types of things. There was all types of media there that day, newspaper, television, radio. So we took care of all that, and just makes you more comfortable discussing issues with people in the media.
And I think you did an excellent job. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Tim, with class members like that, you must have a rather fun job.
It is. It's a great job to have. You know, it's the things that you see in the participants. They come to the program. MARL isn't a beginners program. It's for people that have some experience in leadership roles, and they're not all on the state level or national level. We've got a variety of people that'll be doing things from their local church council or leading the businesses within their community, school board members. And then we do have people all the way up through that are holding positions in national organizations. And what the fun thing is to see is the class is very diverse. So we've got all different types of agriculture involved. So we'll have everything from corn and soybeans, which we see a lot in southern Minnesota, to sugar beets and timber when we had up north. And the chance to learn about the things that we have in common across the state. Minnesota is dramatically different from east to west and north to south, but a lot of the issues and the things that we've dealt with here in the south that are things that can be learned from that experience by the participants that come from up north, and vice versa. So the challenges that timber has faced are some of the same challenges that the livestock producers face. So it's an interesting mix to have those people all at the table, and it makes for some very interesting discussions.
I would say that's the most interesting or unique thing about the MARL program, is that it allows a corn and soybeans farmer from southern Minnesota to experience the other aspects of Minnesota agriculture you rarely see. We've had classmates that have been buffalo producers, wild rice producers, in the timber and mining industry, and all the other major commodities you can think of. And it's not every day you get to sit down and talk with somebody from an industry that's not in your neck of the woods. I mean, you'll have sitting at a table, and you'll have a guy from timber, a guy from the bison industry, a corn and soybean guy, and maybe even a turkey guy, all sitting around talking. And that's not something that happens naturally down at the corner cafe. And that's what's unique about this program.
Yeah, it's nice, and with common economic ups and downs. We've learned over the past year in the program, we go up north, and the timber industry is taking a hit because of the economy. So people aren't building houses, timber harvesting is down, wood production, as far as, usable goods, that has taken a huge hit. The mining up north has been severely impacted because of the economy. People aren't buying cars, they don't need steel, hence the mines, come to nearly standstill. It's the same kinds of ups and downs that we face in the dairy industry. Currently, hog producers are facing it all across the board. So it's nice to know that we're not the lone ones out there facing the ups and downs. It's kind of everybody across the state.
Thank you, Shelley. Tim, it must be difficult to find, how do you choose who gets to be in MARL and who doesn't? We have a lot of talent in rural Minnesota, we have a lot of talent in agriculture, but obviously there's got to be some criteria, and there's some people that get in and some that need to try next time. Mm-hmm. What is the criteria?
it's an open application process. So we take applications from we'll advertise it across the state, and so anybody that wants to apply can. But we also work very closely with, like, the turkey growers that John is a member of, or the Minnesota Milk that Shelley's a member of, to find people within those organizations that they see as, either current board members or up-and-coming producers that might be future board members. And we work with our other supportive organizations that maybe we've had a participant in a past class that was in an executive position at Schwann's in Marshall that used it as part of their development plan because they were working in acquisition of commodities. And so it's a variety, but what we do as far as an application process is the people that want to be part of the program will submit a written application, and it's a pretty extensive written application. And then from there, we do about a 3-month, or we do a 3-month application period. And so they submit written applications from January to the end of March. And then after the cutoff period for applications, then we do personal interviews with the people that have applied for the program. And we do that early in April. Again, with so many of our participants being producers, we want to get done with the work of the MARL program before they have to hit the fields for farming in the spring. And then from there, it'll be John and members of the board of directors will look at the results of those interviews and make the selection. And the past couple of classes, we've been very fortunate to have a good large pool of candidates. And like you said, there has to be a point where we shoot for a class of 30. In the current class, we have 32, just because we had a really good pool of candidates. But that's about the most that we can have. And we've had to select a lot of alternates, people that were qualified for the program, but we just didn't have space for them. So hopefully we'll get them to come back and keep a good pool of applicants for each class.
Excellent. It sounds like a fair process, and one that one could apply more than once if necessary.
Oh yeah, we've had people that had, didn't get selected for a class that, tried again and got in the next one.
And Shelley, you've been in approximately a year and a half?
Yep, it's coming up on a year now since we first started our first session last year in November. So.
And what was the most enlightening thing that happened in that year?
Wow, most enlightening. Wow, there's been such a variety of things that we've done. Enlightening, just different experiences working across the state of Minnesota. In January, we were in St. Paul, and we did a trip to a men's homeless shelter. Very enlightening in the very coldest week of January, and saw people at their very lowest. And it's, things we can do to reach out and help these people and to learn to appreciate what we have. So, business might not be booming, but we have business, we have our health, we have our family, our home, and use that and go out and help people who are struggling, and see what you can do to, perhaps turn somebody else's lives around.
Thank you.
And part of that, too, Dan, is the objective with that seminar is, we go from that setting in the afternoon to sitting on the floor of the House of Representatives in the evening, and you're going from the powerless to a very powerful positions within the legislature, and at the same time, those folks that we're the groups that the people that are in the program, a lot of them are spend time at the Capitol, and there's a finite amount of resources in each budget, and they're competing with, folks that have those very basic needs that we saw in the afternoon, and that's to look at causes and development type of programs that can be very beneficial for the economy, but they sometimes are at the expense of resources that could have been spent in another area. So it's that kind competition for resources, that's, hopefully is a point that the participants take off of from that seminar.
If I understand correctly, you're traveling the state, looking at agriculture issues, working at the state capitol, but then there's also a national component, correct?
Mm-hmm.
John, can you expand on that? What happened with your class? What did you do in Washington, D.C.?
Well, MARL starts out on the local level, and you learn about Minnesota agriculture, and then when you go to D.C., you're going to learn about Minnesota's role in the national stage. And so we were tasked with making appointments with our local representatives, getting there, and getting back alive, which they joke about, but for people who are maybe haven't traveled a lot, navigating around D.C. is one of the skills you learn. But also just having to go through the process of contacting your legislator and going and meeting with him is an important skill to learn and have. And it's daunting at first, but once you get there and you realize that, hey, this guy's just another man or woman, just another person, it really opens up a lot of doors to you to realize that, hey, I'm just a farmer from Minnesota, but I can talk to my national legislators.
And did you find, John, that they really did want to hear your story?
Some, politicians are politicians, and there are just like human beings, and some are better than others. But yeah, I think for the most part they were genuinely interested in speaking with us if they had the time.
Good. And Shelley mentioned she plans to go to Cuba for the international component. Mm-hmm. John, where did your group go?
We had the phenomenal experience of going to China, and this was right before the Olympics. So China, as they are always, they're in a drastic state of change. But seeing China and them being a major trading partner of the U.S. is just phenomenal. And going to places in China that most tourists don't go to. We were able to go out to the western part of China and the southern part of China and just all over the country. And it's an experience. You can go to China with a lot of different groups, but going with MARL just adds such another level of greatness. It's hard to explain.
Excellent. It sounds like a great experience, and I trust that Cuba will be as well. Mm-hmm. Class 4, I believe, was in South Africa.
Yep. We've taken groups. The charter class went to Argentina and Chile. Class 2 went to Mexico and Costa Rica. Class 3 went to China, and Class 4 we spent 2 weeks in South Africa. So it's you can learn. We can go to Winnipeg and learn a lot, but it's nice to go to these locations and see how they do their agriculture, but not just agriculture. We look at their government systems, their political systems, their social systems, the business. How the two meld together in China is something that even spending 2 weeks there, you come away with not really a very good understanding of how some things work that shouldn't work. That it's time to ponder is what you need after an international study tour.
Have you found that the students come back and some of those studies of policy and government and issues in other countries come back and cause them to ponder about our own systems?
Oh, very much so. As we look at the impact of just the trade with China, you hear about it day after day, but until you're in the country, having the experience of seeing a city, that has 13 million people in it, wow. and going through and that trip we spent some time on the river, on the Yangtze River, and we've heard about the Three Gorges Dam project, and to see them moving hundreds of thousands of people because their homes are going to be flooded, taking them up, moving them entirely up the hill because their homes are going to be underwater within a few months, was just something that you can watch things on television and read about them in magazines, but seeing it for yourself is a whole other experience.
How is MARL funded? This has got to be a huge logistics issue with funding and scheduling and recruiting. How is it funded?
Well, MARL, and I didn't explain that at the beginning, it's a public-private partnership, really. And the public side comes from the institution that I work with is Southwest Minnesota State University, and also partner with the University of Minnesota Extension. And so we work together with those two institutions on the public side, and the private side comes with the funding. The participants pay fees to be part of the program, and then the rest of the money comes from, we raise it through a variety of sources. We're very good supporters of commodity organizations like the corn growers and the pork producers and the soybean growers are very good supporters of the program. And then private individuals, the alumni are very good supporters, and businesses. We'll have the CHSs, and here in Austin we've got Hormel is a supporter of the program, and Jenny O, Turkey Store. So it's a variety of those sources where the money comes from, and the total cost for the 2-year cycle is between $12,000 and $14,000 per participant, and the value of it is even higher than that because of the money that's given in kind by the institutions that are involved with it. That it's a major undertaking. I mean, that's a big part of what my responsibilities are, and I've got a partner that's an extension educator that coordinates the curriculum side and the program experience that the people get, because it's a variety of classroom type of settings, but also this experiential learning where we're out trying things and going and visiting places and seeing things on the ground. And it's that mix that really is something that is appealing, hopefully, to adult learners that don't want to sit in a classroom for 2 days straight.
And you mentioned a partner. I'm sure that you're speaking of Mike Leopold.
Mike Leopold, yes.
And he's probably working back in the office right now while you're working here, I'm guessing. It's been a good team. It's been interesting and fun to watch you.
He's a great leader of the program.
You mentioned Hormel and Jenny-O Turkey. They, I believe, opened up their doors to the Spam Museum and provided a wonderful meal, as well as letting Class 4 tour through there. Mm-hmm. And if I remember right, they had a wonderful time there. There was some giddiness and fun, and it was also taped by a Twin Cities television station and broadcast.
Yep.
And I believe Class 4 also, Greg Schwartz had WCCO following him for a growing season. Mm-hmm. And Class 4 also has two recently elected people to the Minnesota Corn Growers. Can you call them out?
Yeah, Devana Zoig is the new president of the Growers Association, and Greg Schwartz. Here you go. I'm glad you're here. Greg Schwartz is the secretary, and also we have another alumni that was a member of Class 2 that was elected. John Magus was elected to their board as well as an officer. So
that's been a really unique thing to watch in the last few years as MARL, the Alumni Association, has grown. After 4 classes, there's 120 alumni throughout the state now, and Tim will send out emails and updates of where some of us are, and to see, I'll call them the tentacles of MARL being spread out into the various commodity organizations has been really interesting to watch. That there's all the commodity organizations. There's somebody that's an alumni of MARL now associated with them in some way, shape, or form.
It's a natural springboard for taking on responsibilities, whether it be in your community, local government, state government, in these types of groups, board members, that type of thing. Really provides you with skills, some training, classroom training that you can use so you can work in groups effectively to cooperate, get things done, things like that. Those are things that we've been learning so that us as Class 5 can get out there, join those organizations, make connections with people, and do those types of things. That's one of the reasons why I'm in MARL, and those are things that will be down the road for a good portion of my classmates and I.
It's the mix of leadership skills, learning about Minnesota agriculture, and then how we tie in to the national and the international picture that I think sets MARL apart from your basic leadership program. It's that mix of entertainment and camaraderie. You become very good friends with your classmates, but you're able to teach leadership skills in a setting where you're also learning and you're also enjoying yourself. And that's what makes MARL special, is the ability to pull off doing all that at the same time.
It must make you proud as an alumni member and also a director that this core group is coming together and pushing out all over the state. And they're going back into the communities and doing exactly what the vision or the charter of the organization is.
Yeah, really, we're just getting started. Class 5 there's other leadership programs in other states that are on their 20th class. And we're going to get there. But, we're finally getting to that point, that critical mass, where we have enough alumni and there's been enough people through the program that word of mouth is spreading that, hey, this is a great program. And it's just been fun to watch that blossom and to see how that has affected agriculture in Minnesota and how, I know that guy, he was in MARL Class 3, or I know that guy, she was in MARL Class 4. And that's that network, that part that you get of it. If I have a dairy question, I can call Shelley now.
Yep.
If she wants to know about turkeys for some strange reason, she can call me. Or timber or bison or anything. It's just a wonderful networking group of people that we've got going here, and it's only going to get bigger and better.
Fantastic. Tim, can you give us a website in case somebody in the audience wants to access?
Yeah, there's a lot of information out there on our website. It's MARL program, MARL program.org. And when we get to the application period, we'll post things about applying for the program there. But we track the classes as they go through, so there's lots of photos of past classes. With all the things that are going on, I wish there was more photos out there, but there's so you can see all the bios of the alumni and the current class members that are on there, as well as following them and learning more about the program.
Fantastic. What a neat opportunity. So access
www.marlprogram.org.
Or call Tim at
you can call me at my office. Direct line is 507-537-6280.
Fantastic. Great gifts, great subject. Keep up the good work. Shelley, thanks for joining us. John,
Thank you.
Tim, keep MARL strong. And for more information, log on to ksmq.org and click on Farm Connections. There you'll find past episodes, and you can actually participate in blogs. Submit ideas or email us some thoughts on what you'd like to see on the show. Tune in next week when we talk more about agriculture. Thanks for joining us. This is Dan Hoffman from Farm Connections, KSMQ. Thanks again.
When I was 5, I walked the fence.